Here we have two completely different approaches to performance. On one side, we have the German muscle car, and on this side, we have the first ever Corvette E-Ray hybrid all-wheel drive. This thing is pretty insane. And I know what you're thinking right now. On this side, we've got a crazy Corvette all-wheel drive. Why didn't you bring the M4 CS? Unfortunately, it wasn't available. But this is the competition xDrive, which means both are all-wheel drive. The M4 for this video is the Competition xDrive convertible, but you can get it, of course, as a coupe. Unfortunately, it's not available as a manual. It's only available as a Competition xDrive. And what we have in here, it's kind of like the base model of the Competition xDrive cab. They didn't put a lot of features or carbon fiber in the exterior. It's quite basic, but what matters is what's under the hood. The inline-6 twin turbocharged engine, which we know it's pretty insane. And on this side, we have a car that looks like a supercar in many ways. In fact, some have called this the poor man's Ferrari. I don't really agree with it. It's unique in its own way. But this one over here, it's pretty loaded with a lot of goodies. First thing on the outside, we see carbon fiber everywhere. The front bumper has the lip. We've got the side skirts carbon fiber, which is quite nice. It also has these 20-inch in the front and 21-inch in the back forged wheels, which kind of remind me of the Ferrari 458 wheels, very similar. And then we have carbon ceramic brakes with performance calipers in the front, 6-piston in the front, 4-piston in the back, including a separate caliper for the handbrake. Now let's talk about practicality. Let's just assume that you might daily one of these. Well, the M4 is quite easy to daily because you have 4 seats. You've got 2 in the back and 2 in the front. In fact, because it has the soft top, you can get access to the second row quite nicely and store some stuff. But the problem with that is you reduce the amount of cargo space you get with a soft top. The Corvette, on the other hand, the GM engineers were very, very smart. What they did is put the engine in the middle, but also add extra space in here with this Targa style package in this case. And you can take the roof completely off, and what you do is unfold the sun visors one by one. There you go, first clip. Okay, that's out. And then you go on to the second clip. That's out. And then you've got one in the middle, which I think I did it once. And check this out. Almost cut my hand there. Here we go. And you take this bad boy, and I'm assuming you kind of slide it all the way in. And then that's it. Actually, that's my first time ever storing that. I've taken it off before for tests, but that's my first time, and I did it on the first try. That's good. Now, another interesting thing about the Corvette is because it has the engine in the back, it has a frunk at front. And that gives you more space than the BMW M4, especially the M4 cab. Jumping into the interior, we're going to start first with the BMW M4. First thing you notice is these beautiful seats, but you can get carbon seats as well, I believe. These are the standard ones, which are very bulky. Nice thing to have. And to get into the second row, you just fold the seat forwards and you get yourself access to the second row. Can I fit in there? Yes, it's okay. I don't want to try because I've done that many times. And jumping onto the inside, here we go. You're welcomed by the standard design that you find in the current generation M3, M4. The seats though do have heating option on the headrest. So when you have the top down, it's too cold outside, guess what? You're gonna feel quite comfortable. It's sporty on the inside. Another thing is that this doesn't come with carbon interior, but you can get carbon interior. You can load this thing as many things as possible, or as many things you can afford. This one is kind of like their base model, so it's not super loaded. Because it is an M4, it does give you the standard M1, M2 button on the steering wheel, so you can switch the modes. You've got a flat button. If you get the CS, it's slightly different on the inside, but not completely different, just more tech features, and the steering wheel is slightly different. The seats also on the CS are more buckety, and they're more racing, like something that you don't really get in the C8. The C8 seats are a little bit different, but with carbon fiber pieces. Next thing is that this does come with your standard heated seats, ventilated seats, and so on. And for someone my height, it's quite comfortable sitting inside. Now, what about the Corvette? First thing is, because the top is off, it's a little bit easier. But for me, that I'm 6'2", it's a bit harder getting in because it's so low to the ground. But in this case, you can do it. Just got to watch out for the edge over here. Now, if I had to use a helmet around the track, I wouldn't be able to fit in here with the top up. No chance, because the seat is already low. So imagine at the top plus the helmet would be pretty hard. Next thing, when you jump inside the Corvette compared to the BMW, well, things are arranged a little bit differently here. And the first thing you notice is how the climate unit is designed compared to the BMW, which doesn't have buttons anymore. It's all on the screen. This one, you have this fighter jet style buttons located onto the side, and you've got, well, the top part for one side and the other bottom part for the other side. I still don't know which one is which. I've driven a few times, but I'm still trying to figure out which side is for which. Having said that, this one has some clever things added to. First thing, you've got the lift axle at the front, which means that it saves the location based on the GPS coordinates. That way, next time you get close to your garage, it will lift the front end automatically, so you don't have to do it. And that's quite handy for a vehicle this low, especially with a carbon piece at the front. Next thing is that it has a heads-up display, which is quite handy. On top of that, this is the hybrid. There's a button located onto this side. You press that. If you're going downhill, you don't want to use the brakes. In fact, you can charge the battery just by pressing that button. Because what it does is that it turns on regen mode. Therefore, it slows down the vehicle and charges the battery. Today, I was able to charge the battery from half to full just by going downhill for about 2 kilometers or so. Super impressive. But here's one thing that I've complained before about the Corvette C8, the wireless charging pad, which is located right in the middle. The great thing about it is that it doesn't move left and right. It's actually quite tight. But if you have the top off, the light straight onto the phone and it will overheat your phone. I've done the mistake before a couple of times with one of the first models I had. And I did it this time as well, and I completely forgot about it. And I realized when I touched my phone, it said overheating. Not the smartest thing. They didn't think about that. But what they did think about is the rear view mirror camera, which this car needs it desperately. And the reason I say that is because there's barely any visibility. So this thing comes in real handy. I mean, you can see the beautiful engine, but that's about it. I think that's a smart decision. With this package, you also get carbon fiber steering wheel, which looks really nice. And you've got the 12 o'clock stripe, which also matches the interior color. Big fan of that, little details. The driving modes, unlike the BMW, are located into the center, so you have to scroll through one by one. It does have a Z mode, which essentially brings you into the performance or track. You've got your race 1, race 2, and you can adjust suspension system. You can adjust quite a lot of features. And then we've got a digital cluster that you can change the layout. Other than that, the interior, it's kind of like a supercar style. The way it's designed, it's aiming towards the driver mostly. It doesn't really care much about the passenger. In fact, even the buttons are pointed towards the driver, and the driving buttons here for the lever, which this doesn't have a standard one like the BMW. You get used to it, it's not a big deal, but you've got your standard manual mode, drive, reverse, and a button for neutral. It has these beautiful paddle shifters in the back made of carbon fiber, which I'm a big fan of. But the overall design of this is so much different than the BMW, which is kind of like your standard performance vehicle. This, it's at the supercar level, even though it's not considered a supercar. Now, the next question is, how do they drive? And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take them around the track where we do our drag racing, see how they compare in terms of driving performance, in terms of ride, speed, transmission, and sound. And that's what we're going to do next. We're also going to do a drag race because I have done an M4 xDrive competition versus a standard Corvette rear-wheel drive. But this one, it's an all-wheel drive. So I'm very interested to see how quick this thing is off the line as well. But before that, let's go for a drive. There is that hybrid noise coming out of this thing. It's so weird. I feel like I'm driving a Ioniq 5N. It's just such a weird, this is that electronic noise that comes out of this. But here's the thing about the E-Ray. The second you get in, you can feel the grip of this car. And especially with those massive tires in the back, so noticeable that this needs. The good thing is that the front motor that this vehicle has, the electric motor, isn't there just for show. It actually pulls the nose into corners, and when it starts to feel that you're sliding, it will straighten you up. There's so much grip in this car. Why that noise? I don't get it. It's so weird. It just makes you feel like you're in an electric vehicle with pumped sound through the speakers. It's just a weird feeling. Now here's the thing that you need to know about the E-Ray specifically. It is actually heavier than the Stingray, but you don't really feel, unless you're kind of counting the pounds. Oh my God! The ceramic brakes on this thing are so needed, and I mean, if you're going to option this thing, if you're buying an E-Ray, I suggest you get those, unless you're never going to take it to the track and it's kind of like your show-off car. The balance, even though it is heavier than the Stingray, is still there. It's a mid-engine, it's planted in corners. Oh my God. It's so quick because of that electric motor. Like it really grabs onto the road and it just goes and goes. It actually feels like an electric Corvette. If you didn't know that it had an engine in the back, you would know that this thing was a V8. The battery on this car, it's very, very clever. It doesn't really take a long time to charge. In fact, right now, the EAW system is fully charged. All it takes 2 rounds around the track and it charges the battery fully. And if you're driving in normal roads, you don't have to have it in V8. It actually goes into V4. That means it turns off 4 cylinders. And in the morning, when the battery is fully charged and you don't want to bother your neighbors, this thing goes into like quiet mode and you can drive it off the parking garage without any problem and not waking up the neighborhood, unless you really want to because you hate your neighbors. The bottom line, this thing is not trying to be a Toyota Prius. The electric side isn't about the fuel efficiency, more so about the power and the punching. You put your foot down and the electric motors really help the vehicle to take off like a rocket. It's got the grip and makes the car more usable for every day. What happened to this car? Okay, that's crazy. I just killed a ladybug, I think it was, or something. Wow. Okay, here's the thing. You jump into the M4 right away, and you kind of realize this is not a convertible until you look up. It's the weirdest thing. This thing is actually fast. I genuinely thought that jumping from the Corvette to this, it would be one of those cases where like, oh, this thing is so much slower. This is not, and it's not even the CS version. Doesn't even have ceramic brakes, and it's still pretty solid car. Look at that. Man, BMW built some crazy machines for almost half the price of that Corvette. Like, that's just crazy. This is a convertible. This thing drives like a track car. But here's where the magic is, under the hood. That inline 6 S58, it is way more horsepower than BMW claims. And there's nothing wrong with that. Under promise, over deliver. Simple as that. It's all-wheel drive, but you can put it into rear-wheel drive and do some drift modes. I just love this thing. My God, just not a convertible. Not just a convertible, but actually a proper track car. The brakes are solid in this thing, and you wouldn't know that they were just standards. I mean, they are performance brakes, but they're not carbon ceramics like the one in the Corvette. It handles superbly for a cab. And here's another thing that I noticed. The Corvette actually feels heavier than this. Jumping from the Corvette to this, the E-Ray feels heavier than this. Which is weird, because it's the opposite technically. Right? This is the convertible, it's the cab. It's not even the standard coupe.
Of course, we couldn't end this video without a road race and a drag race. Before that, let's talk about the specs. First up, the Corvette E-Ray, which uses a 6.2 liter V8 naturally aspirated with an 8-speed dual clutch transmission. It is all-wheel drive thanks to an electric front axle and of course the V8 powering the rear wheels. Combined horsepower, 655 brake horsepower. In terms of the electric motor, it makes 160 brake horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque. The V8 alone makes 490 brake horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. In total, in terms of torque, it makes 595 pound-feet of torque with a curb weight of 3,874 pounds. Now, it is heavy because the electric motor and the battery. On the other hand, we have the BMW M4 xDrive competition cab, which uses a 3-liter twin turbocharged inline 6 with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It is all-wheel drive or xDrive, and this one makes 523 brake horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. Now, we know that BMW rates their vehicles a little bit different than everybody else. I would assume that this vehicle makes way more than what BMW claims, but we're going to find out when we race them. Curb weight, unfortunately, because it is the cab, it weighs about 200 pounds more than the standard competition coupe. And this one comes at 4,256 pounds. So, first up, we're going to do a road race and then we'll move on to the drag race to see which one is the fastest out of these two. Let's roll.
I am ready on this side. You good to go?
Good to go on this side. Let's go.
Okay, so stay right beside me. 3, 2, 1, go. Seven. Whoa!
Damn, the CH fast. Oh my god, I'm being destroyed by the CH.
What is this? What? Whoa! Whoa! What? Mental, eh?
What? Yeah, that's fast. That's really fast.
I'm telling you, this thing, it's fast. Like, it's quick off the line, but my God, it's like, wow. Damn, I actually expected the BMW to be closer. That was interesting. Okay, here we go. Brake all the way, hold fully pressed. What? What? This is metal! Whoa! 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 God, this is insane! Oh my God! Wow! Well, here is the my last thoughts on this. So here's it's a hard one. I don't know how to end this because I love both cars, right? Like, I love the M4 CS. I love the M4 xDrive cab. It's such a beast as well. It's kind of like jack of all trades because you've got the space, you've got the seats, you've got a cab, and it's almost about fully loaded. This is about $60,000 to $70,000 Canadian more, or even more than that, depending on the trims. But this is a hard one. Would I spend $200,000 on a Corvette? I don't know yet. The base model is still good, although at $91,000, that's in Canada, starting price is pretty insane. What that M4 gives you, you can get the coupe xDrive, is mental as well. But you got the seats in the back. I can put my son in the back. In here, I can only get my son, not my wife. But what they've done to this thing is a whole different Corvette. Now this is the new Corvette in my mind. That's it. Like, it's mental. But it's $200,000 Canadian. Like, probably about $140,000, $150,000 in the US. Maybe there's some discounts, but my God, it's a lot of money for a Corvette. It's a tough one to say that this. It's very hard. It's very hard because when you think of a Corvette, you don't think something so crazy expensive. And this is not even their top dog. This is their second in command kind of thing. Like, it's not even the ZR1 or the Z06. Like, just none of those are. Z06 is not the ZR1. Like, it's not even the top dog. Like, this is their base. Well, it's not their base model, but this is essentially the base model plus the electric motors. Like, it's a whole different animal, in my opinion. Like, compared to what. Yeah, the problem I have with this car is not the car. It's the price. It's hard to walk into a dealership and pay $200,000 for a Corvette.